So we will start with the topic that is functions of family. Okay, see this topic is not there directly in the syllabus, but since family is there, obviously we need to know the function of family, the changes in function, similarly structure of family that is expected from you. Okay, so here we are discussing the function. So if you get a question on functions of family, you need to talk about the functions as discussed by the thinkers. That should be your first part. So what are the functions discussed by the thinkers that we need to discuss? Like Durkheim was talking about something, Parson is talking about, Ogborn, Nimkov, George Peter Murdoch. Different thinkers are talking about different functions. So rather than discussing from our perspective, first we can talk about thinkers' side. Then what do you mean by the subjective predisposition? This is the manifest function. Then you say what are the manifest function, the functions which is directly seen, which is directly intended, etc. from family. Then this is the latent function, like the societal function, social function, or the latent function. So what we did is we have talking first about the thinkers, and then we divide manifest function and latent function, and these are the subjective predisposition and these are the objective consequences, or these are the unintended consequences, unintended outcomes. We have discussed this in detail in Merton, so I'm expecting that you should be knowing it very clearly. So the functions which are directly identified, the functions which are hidden, like social control or reproduction, okay, contributing members to society, all these are social function. But this answer will be complete along with the dysfunctions of family also. So here you need to talk about the conflict perspective or Marxian understanding or other feminist understanding. Different other thinkers are also discussing something. So this part you will be talking about thinkers from functionalist side, because functions. So here dysfunction. So you will be talking about Marxian thoughts, you will be talking about feminist thought, etc. So here also you will be quoting the thinkers and you will answer the question. So these two parts you will be using the thinkers. You don't want to write dysfunction from your side to be on a safer side. Okay, quote the thinker and I'll give you enough number. I'll give you around 5, 6, you just need 2 or 3. That's enough. Even the question is about function, you have to write about dysfunction in your answer. This is what I have told you time and again. It has to be broad based. Your answer should be broad based, and in a way that will help you also, because if you face any problem with the content deficit in this part, you can actually manage that with this particular part. Okay, so that will also fetch you some mark. So this has to be your approach. So first we'll talk about the thinkers, then the manifest function, then the latent function, and then the dysfunctions. So what are the thinkers you will discuss here? We will talk about George Peter Murdoch. He is giving 4 functions, and then Parson, he is talking about 2 functions. Ogborn Nimkov, 5 functions. Durkheim, Ronald Fletcher, they all are talking about different functions. Now if you need to know what are the functions is, I have actually incorporated in the PDF. So we will not see the PDF now, but rather I will tell you what are the 4 functions according to G.P. Murdoch. The 4 functions are basically economic function, family function as an economic unit, and then it controls reproduction. Reproduction is another function, and then regulate the sexual relation, so sexual gratification, and also socializes the children. Socializes the children. So these are the functions of family according to George Peter Murdoch. Yesterday also I have talked about this person and I have told you the significance of this person. He is an authority in the study of family. So you should be writing, even if it is about normal question, contemporary trends in family, everywhere you should be talking about J.P. Murdoch, right? If it is contemporary trends, normally you need to use J.P. Murdoch to define what is family. So here also these are the functions according to him. Talcott Parsons. For Parsons, the main function is primary socialization. So primary socialization of the child, because when a child is born, the first socialization part, it has to be done by the family. Okay, and then second, adult personality stabilization. So stabilization of adult personality, right? After the marriage, this marriage is an institution which stabilizes the adult personality according to Parson. So these are the 2 functions according to Parson. Now Ogborn and Nimkov, there are around 4 or 5 functions like affectional, okay, and then economic. More or less these are it will come overlapping. Most of the things are connected only. Economic, recreation, all these are there in the PDF. You don't want to write down anything. Recreation, okay, then protective and educational. So these are the functions given by Ogborn-Nimkov. Apart from that, we have briefly discussed about Ronald Fletcher also. So Ronald Fletcher, he's talking about multi-functional family. A lot of functions are there. So there are some basic functions. Also, there are some derived functions. Okay, so basic and derived functions are there. Like when you talk about physical security in childhood, right? So physical security, and then emotional and psychological security. Okay, and obviously economic security. Okay, and then legitimate means of sexual gratification. Okay, these are basic functions. Again, some more basic functions like entertainment. Okay, and then ready-made identity. It gives a ready-made status. It gives the identity. You trace your identity firstly from your family. Okay, and then initial socialization, like what Parson said, initial socialization. So all these are considered as the functions of family. Okay, now we will also see the changing trends in individual perspective. Like individual now rely more on peers, okay, peers and or friends for securities. So it's like then again you can talk about rise of alternative institutions like hospitals, okay, play schools, multiplexes. When we discussed about entertainment, so we can talk about multiplexes, hospitals, play school, child care center, again socialization, so play schools, okay, child care centers, taking care of aged old age homes. So if you remember, I have discussed all these things when we discussed about Robert Merton in one concept. Which concept? Functional alternative, right? We have discussed about all these, like multiplexes, media, etc. are taking some of the functions of family now. Now when it comes to primary socialization, you can say family is still playing a major role, but schools, play schools are playing that role further. And adult personality stabilization like law, police, okay, state, all these are part of adult personality stabilization. So these are the manifest functions that you can discuss. And latent function, that means societal function, most importantly reproduction. Family provide members to society. That is very, very important function of family. Then cultural transmission. Cultural transmission, like socialization, okay, through socialization, transmission of values. So if you remember in the chapter of stratification, I have told you how the cultural reproduction is happening. Initially at the family level, then at the level of society, right? So cultural transmission of values. Okay, so nowadays media, schools, etc. are playing this role more, but still family is playing a huge role. And family is also a mechanism of social control. But nowadays law society or the police, state, etc. are doing that job of social control. You are not performing crime because of family mostly, but nowadays because of police, state, etc. right? Unit of economic production. Now there is a different, it's like corporate jobs. Earlier you work within the family only, simple skills was required. That again yesterday we have discussed under Parson, okay. But then we have discussed about industrialization, and then we have discussed about nuclear family. And according to Parson, in the industrial society, nucleated family is a structural fit because it provides the much required possibility of mobility, geographical mobility as well as the other mobility also. Okay, now what are the dysfunctions? So these are the functions as discussed by the thinkers. Like you can talk about G.P. Murdoch, Durkheim, Parson, Ogborn-Nimkov, Ronald Fletcher. Okay, apart from that manifest function, latent function, now we need to discuss about the dysfunctions. So what are the dysfunctions? Mainly family has been criticized as status quoist. So because of family only, people tend to live the same life. People don't want to change. People don't go for revolution. Okay, people will be ready to work at the capitalist society by facing all the kinds of exploitation. So you can understand this is given by Marx. Okay, so family basically assures conformity of the individual. and individual will submit himself in the process of exploitation in the capitalist system. It is because of family. If we have no family, there is a high chance that he will go for revolution. So revolution is not happening when the mature, even though the conditions are there, it is because of family. So it is the capitalist who's using the family to prevent that revolt which will occur at one point of time. Okay, then another thinker, David Cooper. Again, very important, David Cooper. In his book Death of Family, see, all these things I have incorporated in the PDF. You don't want to write down, I'm repeating again, so you just focus on this, because I'm not going to read the PDF here like what we do in case of thinkers and all. So David Cooper, in his Death of Family, he considered it as an ideological conditioning device in the exploitative society. So we all are ideologically, like, we are conditioned that we need to be worker, we need to do this kind of job if you need to survive, etc. So it is because of family only, and because of that even your creativity is also actually hindered by the family. Okay, so again family is again accused of producing psychological disorder in children because of more demand from the children. Okay, so all these are the criticisms. One more person is there, R.D. Lyon. Okay, in his book Politics of Family, he's talking about politics of family, within family, like politics. Okay, so family produces emotional stress in the members, and that lead to conflict within family. So that is the interpretation that he gave. Now another person, Edmund Leach. Yesterday also we have discussed about Leach, okay, when we discussed about the concept of marriage. So Edmund Leach, in his book Runaway World, this is there again in the PDF, you don't want to worry about this, Runaway World, he concludes that the members actually expect too much out of each other. Every member within family, the child expect more from the father, mother, and father expect more from the child and the wife. Like, expectations are so high, and that again produce tensions in the family. And another feminist will say family legitimizes exploitation of the women. Okay, so household work done by them goes unnoticed, and family also legitimizes the sexual abuse. Like, marital rape is not a crime, right? So these are the points which is to be discussed. Like again, Murray Strauss, if you want to talk about another thinker, Murray Strauss, what the conclusion is, marriage license is a hitting license. That means it is legitimizing the sexual abuse, violence, etc. So marriage license is a hitting license. You marry, that means you have the license to hit your wife. Okay, so again you can talk about families used as neutralization device to justify deviant acts. For example, corruption. You say you are corrupt because of family. Okay, so again it is argued that family hinders or family hampers creativity of individual as he submits his desire to family. So creativity will be hindered. You will be trying to do for something for the family, not for yourself. So your creativity will be hindered. So all these are the points which you can write, but how much you can write, that is a question. It will be maximum 10 marker or at the max 20 mark. If it is asked for 20 mark, you need to write 250 words. So how many thinkers you need to mention, that is what I am saying. Like I have told you around 4 or 5 now. I think I have incorporated 5 6 in that in the PDF. So you need to write around 2 3, out of which who are more important. More importance should be given to JP Murdoch, very important. This person you cannot afford to miss. Talk about Parson, you already know about Parson, so it is easy. And then you can also talk about Fletcher. And again, it depends on you, the way you can write, it's up to you. But when it comes to dysfunction, you can write around 3 4, that again will be done. Then manifest function, latent function, you have to write. So this is how, again here also I have written, this is the emotional security, physical security, mental security, sexual gratification, provision of socialization, reputation, societal function, cultural transmission, social control, tension management. We discussed this in the AGIL model. Care for the aged, all these you can write. Reproduction, okay. So dysfunctions, there are specific views of thinker. David Cooper I have told you, R.D. Laing I have told you, Edmund Leach I have told you, Margaret Panston. Okay, so these are the latent function. Family as the unit of economic production, economic placement of an individual, reproduction. So dysfunctions, Margaret Benston. We have discussed this, sexual abuse. Family is legitimizing the sexual abuse. And, uncounted. The housewife service is actually when uncounted and unpaid. Okay. Karl Marx status quoist. Family is a neutralist device and it prevents creativity of the child. Corruption, because family justifies many deviant activities. Why corruption? Because of the ambitious family. Krishna Kumar study. Sexual abuse, marital rape, neutralization device which justify deviant act. Okay, so this is what I've told you. Expectations are high. In Edmund Leach's words, the parents and children huddle together in their loneliness, expect too much out of each other, the parents fight and the children rebel. Murray Strauss, marriage license is a hitting license. So these are the main points. J.P. Murdoch, here I've written everything. You can read this. J.P. Murdoch, the 4 functions. Parsons, whatever required for you, I have underlined everything. What all things I have underlined here in this PDF. Rather, we are doing it in the all classes and all PDF. So you should not miss this. So for example, Parson, primary socialization, okay, adult personality stabilization. So, and what is isolated nuclear family? Everything we have discussed. Isolated nuclear family provides the better geographical mobility. Yesterday I have discussed the same point. I've told you in the context of industrial society, the nucleated family or the isolated nuclear family is a structural fit. Okay, so everything is written here. You can see Ogborn-Nimkov also. These are the ones which I have discussed. Ogborn-Nimkov, affective, economic, recreation, protective and educational. Fletcher, Ronald Fletcher, that also is there. Okay, so then these are the societal or latent functions. What all things you have discussed, cultural reproduction, emotional security, all these are there. Here, these are the dysfunctions. Okay, so in dysfunctions, we are talking about David Cooper, the death of family. I have discussed this. Ideological conditioning device. Okay, so this we have discussed. Edmund Leach, this also we have discussed. Parents and children huddle together in their loneliness, take too much out of each other, parents fight, children rebel. That means expectations are so high. Then feminists like Margaret Benston, we have discussed. Again, I have written the short form there. Perpetuate unpaid labor, sexual abuse, etc. Murray Strauss, marriage license is a hitting license. Okay, so Norman Bell, emotionally disturbed child as a family scapegoat. So a lot of criticisms are there. You just need 3-4. Marx also you write status quoist. So that's about the. Yeah, you need to mention about the names of the thinkers, and if possible, you talk about the study also. So, any doubts here? Okay, now structure of family. Okay, now before, if you see here, introduction is there. Okay, just go through the introduction. Okay, so introduction I have written, and this is the format of your answer. So these body, content, everything is there. So one reading, go for it. If you are not able to understand, in case if you are facing any problem, you can discuss with me. Message me or call me, no problem. Okay, now structure of family. So structure means pattern of relationships.